Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, I could have rushed and made 1,000 videos, but I wanted to properly go through the documents in which the feds provided just a day before his detention hearing, so I could actually bring you guys information on it. And let me tell y'all right now, them boys, it's not looking too good for them. Simple as that. And not only are they cooked to me, but they have informants involved in the case, and it's one thing with trying to beat the feds, being that they have an almost perfect conviction rate, but it's another thing to try and beat the feds and have a snitch involved in the case as well. So whether it was looking good for Durk in that Lil Pab case or not, this one right here, I can tell you right now, is almost impossible that he's going to beat this one, unfortunately. I strategically put this video together with excerpts from the documents, so hopefully the guys who are doing the same thing these guys did and got caught can realize that the feds aren't as slow as a lot of you may think they are. And I tell y'all all the time, when these guys posting or making music thinking they being low key and the police can't identify the slang terminology that they're using, you're wrong. And also, when you think they aren't watching social media, time after time we see that social media is one of their biggest assets when it comes to breaking down these cases these days. I solely feel that these guys would literally get away with a lot of things if they just didn't put it on social media. Because it's one thing to be caught, but it's another thing when they can match pictures with the accusations and faces and social media posts and lyrics along with videos. You just helping them do their job. No, literally helping these guys get a salary when you indulge in incriminating yourself. Just think about that the next time. Now, going through these documents, the feds literally got everything from Facebook, Instagram posts, music lyrics, music videos, phone calls, text messages, confidential informants, witnesses, vehicles, DNA, surveillance, weapons, audio of one of the suspects saying the other suspect's name. Like, let me tell y'all right now, you're going to need a miracle, 2 genies, and a warlock to try and get your way out of this, because it's literally no way. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but every victim that has been unalive, that has been brought to the surface by law enforcement, which they accuse OTF of having involvement in, has been very, very sloppy. And one reason I bring that up is because how ironic that these rappers and their entourage love to accuse bloggers and everybody else of snitching, but it's funny that not one time in these documents that I see anywhere that they got any information from a blogger. Instead, all the information they gathered came from them themselves being careless on social media, music videos, phones, text messages, and etc. So instead of pointing fingers at bloggers, they need to start holding these rappers accountable. For the guys in the entourage, stop being yes men. Hold your rapper friends accountable. When they saying stuff that sounds so incriminating and weird, don't be afraid to tell them, because they aren't the ones in the field getting their hands dirty, you are. And the more they incriminate themselves, mean the more they incriminate you, and the more you get incriminated, the more chances of you going to jail when the feds start their investigation, because them guys don't miss. Anyway, let's get into these documents and why Lil Durk is being thrown in yet another M for hire situation. But before we do, let's give a quick breakdown on what's going on. Now, for the death of Lil Pab, Durk was scheduled to go before a detention hearing on Thursday, which was going to be determined whether he gets a bail for the current case he was fighting or not, based on the details that was gathered within the case. However, a day before he was supposed to appear, the feds swept in and dropped a bombshell on Durk and his attorney based on unsealed documents involving Durk and the unaliving of a man named Stephon Mack. Stephon Mack is believed to be one of the suspects involved in the death of Durk's brother Thang, who was shot and unalive back in June of 2021 in Chicago at a nightclub called Club O. The feds believe that in a revenge attack, Lil Durk allegedly hired two men by the name of 24-year-old Anthony Montgomery Wilson and 23-year-old Preston Powell to unalive Stephon Mack during the afternoon hours on January 27, 2022. Shortly after Mack was unalived, Durk will also post a story with the caption saying, quote, "For D-Thang, aha." Now allegedly money was placed on Stephon Mack's head for his alleged involvement in D-Thang's unaliving, along with another man who was actually identified as the trigger man in D-Thang's passing, who goes by the name of 21-year-old Damarni Green. Green is being accused of being the one that actually fired the fatal shot striking D-Thang. However, he's already been incarcerated for other bodies he allegedly caught after being accused of taking the lives of two brothers back in October of 2021. Which means he took the life of D-Thang just 4 months after catching another 2 bodies, putting him at 3 bodies in total in just a span of a few months. Now, Green was arrested in December of 2021 for the home invasion of the 2 brothers, so when Stephon Mack was shot and unalive for the passing of D-Thang, Green was still incarcerated, which may have worked out in his favor because he might not have been here if he wasn't after seeing what happened to Stephon Mack. Now that we got the backstory as to why Lil Durk may be involved allegedly in the M for hire when it comes to Stephon Mack, let's get into the unsealed documents that the feds have brought to the attention of the courts. Now keep in mind also, Lil Durk haven't been officially charged, but what they did was just show unsealed documents of why they have suspicion that Durk may have been included in the M for hire, and the fact that he's already fighting the M for hire charge for the unaliving a little pad, it makes Lil Durk look that much guilty. And pay attention to how the feds work, because according to reports, the feds been had this information. The feds been filed a warrant application for Durk since April of 2023, but they waited all the way until now in December of 2024 to reveal it just a day before his detention hearing. They knew exactly what they were doing. Now, I didn't include every part of the documents, but I highlighted the key parts that I felt can be very detrimental to Lil Durk when they actually decide to charge him, and honestly, I feel they're still racking up evidence to use against him, which is why they haven't fully charged him yet, but they unsealed what they have for now because they wanted to interfere with his detention hearing because maybe they don't want him out of federal custody. Who knows? Keep in mind also the 2 guys, Wilson and Powell, were indicted in federal court back in November of 2023, and currently Wilson is already in custody, but Powell has been on the run with a warrant out for his arrest. The duo have been charged with conspiracy to use an interstate facility and the commission of an M for hire, then another M for hire count separately, and Wilson faces a separate firearm charge as well. Before we get into Lil Durk, let's break down the evidence that they have against Powell and Wilson first, which will lead to why they believe Durk is involved. I'll post parts of the documents that describe what's going on based on what the document stated, and if you want to read it for yourself, just pause the video. Now in this first clip here, the feds break down that on January 27, 2022, Powell and Wilson took Stephon Mack's life while he was leaving the Youth Peace Center, known as the YPC in Roseland, as the 2 exited their vehicle and opened fire on him as he was walking across the parking lot. They detailed that upon arriving to the parking lot, Powell used a phone and exchanged phone calls with another person they believed to be a co-conspirator involved in the case. FBI believed the 2 were also involved due to a careless mistake made by Wilson, who happened to leave his phone in the stolen vehicle when both of them fled from the scene on foot. They also say that Powell, being unaware that Wilson left his phone in the car, would call Wilson 3 times just 3 minutes after taking Mack's life because the 2 split up on foot as they were running away from the scene. 34 minutes after Mack lost his life, Wilson must have realized that he left his phone, and in a desperate attempt to have an alibi, he would call his girlfriend, who was the listed owner of the phone, to call AT&T to report the phone as stolen. However, investigations would prove that 3 minutes before she would call to report the phone stolen, she was contacted by someone else who they listed as subject phone 5, who they believe coerced her into doing what she did. Now, the phone that was left in the vehicle, which belonged to Wilson, CPD issued a warrant and tried to get into it, in which they were unsuccessful in doing so. But the feds say they issued their search warrant and will be attempting to do so now instead. Now, 5 days after the phone was left in the stolen vehicle on the scene of the crime, reports say Wilson obtained a new cell phone which he still used to get in contact with Powell as they tried to use coded language to talk about a payment being received for the unaliving of Stephon Mack. They would know this information because in an unrelated case in February of 2022, law enforcement took Wilson's new phone and was able to obtain text messages. However, the feds were also able to have probable cause that Wilson, Powell, and others were involved in Mack's unaliving because of the phone's locations all being pinged in the same area just hours leading up to the unaliving of Mack, and the same phones being pinged on the scene at the time of the actual shooting. Now in this clip, the feds explain that according to CHS, in which I'm assuming is some type of confidential informant of some sort, they start to explain who Wilson is, his gang affiliation with Mike City Black Disciples, and where he's from, and then also highlight his affiliation with Lil Durk. Now this is why I tell y'all to watch what you put on social media and who you affiliate yourself with if you are in the streets doing dirt, because they pointed out the Aha video, which they also use lyrics from, but they pointed out that Lil Durk and Wilson being photoed together for Durk's video shoot to the song. What this does is show proof that they do in fact know each other and or know the same people, solidifying that there's a relationship between the two individuals. Also, if y'all pay attention, they have a screenshot of that picture, which was uploaded by OTF Lil Vonnie the Muscle. So it tells us that these people ain't just looking at Lil Durk. They watching everybody who's affiliated with him or OTF as a whole. So if I was Vonnie, I would be very careful with what I post, especially that he knows for a fact now that they're watching him, because he's big on being on Clubhouse and saying a lot on there as well. And just as a reminder, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Now in this clip, they explain who Durk is and accuse him of normally putting money on guys' head, as they believe this is something he does considering he has the money to do so. Now they would say, quote, CH1 has reported that Lil Durk was and still is offering money for people to kill those responsible for his brother's M, and more specifically, offering to pay money for any gangster disciple that is unalived. CH1 has also indicated that Thang was unalived by members of Dump Street. According to CHS1, Dump Street is a GD faction on the south side of Chicago. According to CHS1, Dump Street member Individual A was a close associate of Mack. According to law enforcement records, Individual A is currently in pretrial custody for allegedly having committed a double M that took place in Country Club Hills, Illinois. Now speaking of Dump Street, in Durk's song Survivor, he would say, quote, brother died, you ain't retaliate, that's why I don't really F with y'all. Catch a dude from the dump with you on the block with you, I'ma shoot up all of y'all. I'll leave it at that. Now in these clips, they explain how the two suspects, Wilson and Powell, allegedly entered the parking lot of the YPC in a black Chrysler sedan at approximately 2:22 p.m. and waited for Mack, who was still inside, to exit. They remained in the car for about 40 minutes waiting for Mack to leave, who would end up leaving and walking across the parking lot at approximately 2:59 p.m. That's when two masked individuals exited the Chrysler and started shooting in his direction as they pursued to chase Mack, who tried to run away but failed. After the shooting, ring camera footage from a nearby residence located on the 300 block of West 110th Place would capture one of the shooters yelling, "Marley, yo, come on, Marley." Not only did the audio capture the yelling, but CPD will also find an AR-556 rifle in a neighboring vacant yard, which they believe was used during the shooting. The serial number on the rifle obtained by ATF shows that the rifle was purchased by an individual associated with the duo in Atlanta, Georgia, on or about October 1st, 2020. Now this is the part where the feds are using music lyrics to better assist with their case, with reasonable doubt to believe that Durk was mocking the death of Mack in his lyrics. In the song Aha, which was released February 22nd, 2022, they believe Durk had made references to having people unalived. They highlighted the lyrics where Durk says, quote, "We be sliding through they blocks and they don't know we have. Buddy Bug got shot and we ain't claim it, but I could show his butt." They also highlighted the lyrics in which Durk said, quote, "My brother Thang just got shot and I've been slow since, but we got back on they butt, I bet they know this." And by the way, for the guys that believe music lyrics can be used against you, let this be a lesson. For the Varno of 1700s out there that believe lyrics can be used, they may not hold much weight, but they damn sure play a part in trying to convince a jury who aren't stupid and can also put two and two together. But anyway, here's a part where things get very interesting. They mention text messages between Wilson and Powell, which hints towards payment for their role in the unaliving of Stephon Mack. Now remember, Wilson got a new phone after leaving it in the car, and even though he got a new phone, documents say that he still used his new phone to get in contact with the other suspect, Powell. 6 days after Mack was unalived, Wilson would activate yet another AT&T phone under another person's account. However, that same phone was inventoried when he called himself getting arrested, trying to run from police in a stolen vehicle on February 19, 2022. A search warrant was executed on his phone where law enforcement discovered a series of text messages between Powell's phone and Wilson's phone, which was activated under a different name. Now remember the Marley name that was yelled out on the Ring camera? Well, Feds would describe that Powell's nickname was Marley and was a saved contact in Wilson's phone as Marley 2. The text messages along with the time will go as follows. On 2/10/2022 at 2:43 p.m., Powell said, quote, "What's up with OTF?" At 2:45 p.m., a phone they believe belonging to Wilson will reply, quote, "Nothing." At 2:46, Powell would say, quote, "What you mean? They not paying?" Wilson's phone will reply, quote, "We waiting. He come up here on the 17th. On 2/17/2022 at 7:21 p.m., Powell would text saying, quote, "Stand on that. Why we're Durking him?" On 2/18/2022 at 9:48 p.m., Powell would text saying, quote, "Did Durk give you that money?" Now, as the feds did their homework, they would discover a Facebook page belonging to someone close to OTF and a post they made on their Facebook showing a picture of Durk and others present for the AHA video shoot, which proves that he was in fact in Chicago on or around February 18th, 2022. Now, as y'all know, the feds are very, very calculated. All of this is just them proving their accusations and making sure that there's no stone left unturned when they come with their indictment for Lil Durk. They're proving Durk's affiliation with the suspects, using text messages to prove money was involved, and prove that Lil Durk was in fact in Chicago as the suspect mentioned he would be at the time that he stated he was. Once again, another sloppy job by a suspect, because the number one rule you should know if you're doing anything illegal is to never, ever, ever use them phones, because it's a digital trail. Now, aside from the text messages, an employee from the youth center where Mack was unalived revealed some interesting information as well. The employee stated that 2 participants who were at the center the day Mack was unalived shouldn't have been there. Employee 1 says both of the guys were former participants at the center, but was kicked out 6 months prior because they were considered high risk. Now get this, both of the 2 participants were in fact brothers, and both of them, according to the employee, was a part of a gang known as Risky Road, who is rumored to also be affiliated with Lil Durk. The employee says one of the brothers left in the Uber before Mack was unalived, and the other brother stayed at the center when everything went down. But before law enforcement could get to the scene, he was gone. The employee says another employee was responsible for taking the brother who stayed at the center home, along with 3 other participants from YPC. She says while she was taking them home, she overheard $50,000 to $500,000 was being offered for someone to take Stephon Mack's life. Knowing that that much money was at stake, FBI was able to match the pictures taken from Wilson's Facebook that show him flashing large amounts of money to the date he uploaded the picture, which was March 2nd, 2022, which also included Lil Durk's song AHA playing in the background. This gave them reason to believe that Wilson received money for the unaliving of Stephon Mack due to the timeline in which everything appeared. Feds believe Wilson was trolling using the music to display that he was paid for his involvement. Now hopefully this is a lesson for further guys who do the same thing to next time think about your actions before you put certain things on social media. Some people just be fiending to show people that they have some money or just show off, period, not knowing that it could cost you in the long run. You think them people ain't watching, but the whole time they actually are. Now lastly, social media wasn't the only foolish mistake made by these suspects. According to the feds, jail calls were made by one suspect to an unidentified individual on February 1st, 2022, mentioning Durk needing to quote-unquote pay if he's going to be taking credit for D-Thang's suspects being unalived. The suspect would say, quote, "He woofing like Tay-Town, and if it's for D-Thang, then check in. That ish ain't free. Then, another call that was made on January 31st, 2022, the suspect told the unidentified person that they called that they need to make a song and add snowman to it. And he would add, quote, "Caught his dumb butt in the snow, now his dumb butt stretched." The feds easily stated that judging from the crime scene photos of Mac being shot and laid out in the snow, they feel that reference was made because he had knowledge of the shooting. Now, that's basically it, y'all. It was a lot, but I wanted to properly break everything down and also show the information that they have against Lil Durk. To be honest, we don't know whether Durk really had a hand in any of this because they don't have real concrete evidence of Durk himself doing or saying anything that we know of. It always seemed like the guys Durk may or may have not been involved with are always a downfall in these cases. They're the ones saying too much on phones, they're the ones leaving phones on crime scenes, saying each other names, and etc. In the Quando case, Durk told them to not use cards associated with OTF allegedly, and what did they do? Use the cards associated with OTF. So I don't know, man. The most they probably have on Durk is him saying too much in these damn songs, and that could also be his downfall. Now I don't know if they got more evidence and more stuff linking back to Lil Durk because they haven't revealed it, but y'all know how the feds play. Just when you think they don't have something, they pop out with more evidence. So I don't know, man, but one thing for sure is Durk got his work cut out for him now. And for the guys that were accusing King Von of being the reason Lil Durk was locked up, what do y'all gotta say now? Everyone claimed Durk wouldn't be locked up if it wasn't for something that Von started, but now this just came out, and what do y'all gotta say? Y'all jump in the comments and let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out.